Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining Mats and Pats today. We're very lucky to have Gillian live and in person, and she'd like to discuss with us her involvement in the Girl Guides. Over to you.
Hi. Yes, I became a brownie when I was a little girl living in South Africa, and it was a wonderful outlet. And when I became a Girl Guide, I found it even better because Girl Guides had badges, and I am very competitive, and I wanted to get badges. So I had a really good time in Girl Guides, and I wanted to get my Queen's Guide, which is the highest thing that you can get in Girl Guides. And you had to get it by the time you had to do all your tests by the time you were 16. And I managed to do that, although it was rather difficult because for a while we had no guide mistress. And my mum actually very kindly agreed to take the training and become a guide mistress just so that I could do guides. Done by the time I was 16, because as I say, without a guide in the last little while there, it was very, very difficult to. There was one thing I could not do, and that was get the campfire badge of all things, because they didn't have a competitive campfire thing. But anyway, I finally managed to do that, and then when my stuff was all sent in, it turned out that in the time when we didn't have a guider, they changed the rules, and you not only had to do everything by 16, which is what was in the book, but you had to do it by the time you were 15 3/4, so they could award it by the time you were 16.
Oh no, you certainly had the luck stacked against you.
I was very, very annoyed. I mean, totally pissed off.
I don't blame you.
I decided that I would show them. I'm a great one for wanting to show people if they bother me.
Maybe.
And so I discovered how many badges any of those Queen Guides that year had got.
Yeah.
And I decided to do more. And then I decided to do all the badges there were for Girl Guides.
Now that's competition.
I was unsuccessful. There were 56, and I was only able to get 54.
Well, let me ask you, was it worth it even though you weren't successful?
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, as I say, I'm very competitive, and I'm also I'm an achiever, and I need stuff to do. So all round, it just worked out really good.
But how did you deal with the fact that you didn't get your queens?
I got used to it. That's all you can do is just get used to it.
Suck it up, sunshine.
Yeah. And the only two I couldn't get was athlete, because I'm not very. I'm keen, but not. I'm short, and I couldn't jump the height that you needed to jump. And music, I could not get the musical one because I am so unmusical. It's just not true.
So what did you enjoy about it?
About Girl Guides?
Yeah.
Well, we did a lot of camping. And here in Canada, camping is normally in things like huts. We did it carrying tents on our backs and things like that. And then I really liked, they would have, once a year they would have a big get-together. Not big like they are here now, but say 300 or 500 girls, and we'd be in a town that you weren't in normally, see the historical sites, and have campfires and sing-alongs at night, and then camp in old army tents.
That sounds like fun. Now, let me ask, all these years later, are you still in touch with any of your Girl Guide friends?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm afraid I'm a person who kind of tends to move on and have. I'm not terribly sociable. I really need some people in my life, but not many. And I tend to let relationships fail, basically.
But that's worked for you, right?
If they're not in my life really, then they tend not to be in my life at all. That's why I don't do things like Facebook.
That makes sense. That makes sense. You don't need to connect with the whole world. You just need to connect with
the funny thing is, I sometimes wonder what someone's doing, or how they're doing, whether they're still alive. It doesn't make me go on Facebook to see.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Now, looking back in all your years, is there any advice that you'd want to offer up? Anything that you maybe wish you knew when?
I'll tell you, I think exposure to the great outdoors is so important for people's mental health. When I went to Australia, I was too old for Girl Guides, but I became a ranger. I became a sea ranger, and that is just marvelous. So you'd be building or helping other people to build vessels, and you did a lot of kayaking, and we did spelunking.
What's spelunking?
Cave exploring.
Wow.
Yeah, and then 3-day hikes in the desert.
Wow.
All you took, because it was desert, you could only go 3 days unless you could carry more than the amount of water that you needed, because we had to take 6 pints of water per day to drink.
Wow.
And so if you count 18 pints of water, it weighs quite a lot.
Yeah.
So, and you're carrying everything on your back all day. So
And you enjoyed that.
Oh yes, yeah, I really did.
So have you any more trips planned for maybe next year, or?
Well, I'm no longer involved with guides, because guides here is very, very different. It's much more civic,
Yeah.
not outdoorsy kind of stuff. But here I just, and of course then with my age, I no longer do 3-day hikes, and I certainly I've even given up camping with a tent, because I can't get comfortable on the ground or even a cot anymore. So I now I just go walking in the woods.
And how do you enjoy that?
I love it.
It-
And I belong to the Naturist Club, if there's one where I live.
Yeah.
Belong to the Gardening Club, and
So you've still kept your hobbies alive, outdoors.